Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are going to be talking about revitalizing your libido. And I just need to do a bit of housekeeping first of all. Hello, Kerry. Don't have to come on screen if you don't want to. Just saying hello to you. So yes, a little bit of housekeeping first of all. So my name's Lottie. I'm a psychosexual and relationship therapist, private practice, and run workshops. We'll talk about a little bit at the end. This recording, so as we're recording this, it will go on the Facebook page. So be mindful about what you say about your own sexual desires and capabilities. By all means, share if you want to. So I'm going to share some things about me tonight. And yeah, let's just talk about libido and how we feel as women. It's all about women tonight. So this is a safe space that we're creating, and for us to ask questions in the messages if you want to. This lasts for a week, I believe. It gets put on Facebook, and then you've got another week to be able to listen to it. So thank you for joining me tonight. Sometimes this can be a challenging topic for ourselves as practitioners and women and couples and individuals. It can be challenging because a lot of people feel very awkward about talking about their libido. If you want to show your faces, you're quite welcome to. Some people stay off camera, some people show themselves. It's absolutely up to you. So yeah, so sometimes it can be quite a challenging topic, and my role, I feel, is getting more women to talk about their way of being, how they feel about pleasure, the reasons why they're not self-pleasuring, or the reasons why they're actually doing things sexually that they don't want to do. And I'll talk about the uses of sex a little bit later on. So libido is your sexual desire. It's something that actually is part of our chemical process. And I want to say straight away, you are all normal. We go through life with all this aspect of everybody's like high or low or nothing at all, or and we get into this really, I'm not okay, I'm not normal. A lot of people, a lot of therapists talk to me about that, about their clients, and my clients talk to me about that, saying, I don't think I'm normal. I can't orgasm, I can't find pleasure, I've got blocks. And what we want to do is really think about how we can overcome that as individuals. So two aspects for me with arousal and desire is the part of us that chooses not to pleasure ourselves. Okay, we're not talking about partnerships tonight, we're talking about ourselves, is that actually there's a health thing that I want to go through. Okay, so when we talk about the life stages, 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, we are on an evolutionary path of change. Sometimes we don't like it. We really wish it wasn't happening, but it is going to happen. So the chemicals that we have when we talk about the depletion of them is that that's going to happen. We know about that from menopause. We know that actually HRT gives you more estrogen again and boosts that side of it. But the depletion of it is going to be a natural part of who we are. So the health aspects of being able to masturbate is really, really important, because when we have a lack of masturbation, and I want you to remember that actually we are not far different genitally from men. If you have a look at pictures of the clitoris, and it's 4.5 inches long, and all we see is the hood and the nub, that's it. So we've got to look at the health implications, because what we get is atrophy. So we get dryness and atrophy, and what it does is our sort of vagina or vulva goes back in on itself, which sounds horrendous, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it slowly occurs because we're not actually pleasuring ourselves, we're not touching, or we're not having sex, or and we need to make sure that we do something sexually to ourselves to prevent that happening too soon. The other thing for me is about confidence. Confidence is about being able to say to yourself, how confident am I feeling? And is it true and authentic confidence? I always remember the saying, fake it till you make it. And I think that causes more imposter syndrome and anxiety than if you sit in an authentic place of confidence. Being able to truly look after yourself with pleasure, not being embarrassed about pleasure. So I'll share with you today, knowing that I was doing this talk, I went to Marks and Spencer's and bought some really gorgeous underwear. And I've come back and I've had a beautiful shower, and I've actually put lotion on my body, and I've put my favorite top on, which, look at that sleeve. How amazing is that? So I thought to myself, I wanted to get in that sort of sense of excitement about talking about all of this, so that it's not just a dry run video that you're on or going to watch later on. I wanted you to really feel this essence of me and how I care about myself. Absolutely, when I was trying on the bras today, there were bits that were not in the right place, and there's part of me that went, oh, I don't like that. I now, since my daughter, who's part of the Facebook group, says cancel, 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 and it's part of a coaching process. And I do that to myself because I want everyone to actually, when you start really being negative about your body, I want you to actually go cancel, cancel, cancel. Because we are such beautiful human beings. It doesn't matter the size, it doesn't matter how your skin is, it doesn't matter all of it. The important thing is that you actually start caring about yourself. I think being sexy is empowering, okay? I think, and it's powerful. I think we need to have a greater understanding of our bodies. When something goes wrong in our bodies, there is a real angst about it. And the reason why that is because medically we're not known about. They still don't know why vaginismus, the muscles close up and they don't want to open up again. They don't even know why that's happening, and that's been happening, and they've known about that for a long time. But if we talk about men's health is very much in the spotlight with Newman and erectile dysfunction. There's not a lot known about women, and we basically have to look after ourselves. And part of that for me is being able to stimulate my body, help my body grow and process, accept the things that might be happening to it as well. So the evolutionary part of our body is part of our journey. Okay, when you think about females from periods to pregnancy to hormones to menopause to whatever it might be, we have a different journey to the male population, and we are always thinking about what's next, how will this work, will I be able to look after myself. There's a part of us that wants to nurture everyone else. We very rarely as females nurture ourselves, and I think that's very, very important. The other side for me is the physical, the emotional and the psychological factors. So when we think about arousal, when we're doing this for ourselves, we still need to take into consideration the thresholds. So the thresholds are the tactile process that we have for ourselves. What do we do to make ourselves feel good? So we need enough tactile, and then we need enough psychological to get to orgasm. If any of that's missing, we will then find ourselves in a place of disappointment, or actually we might hold all that energy and go, I'll try again tomorrow. So physiologically, we need to think about how our body's behaving. Is there any pain there? Is there something that I need to be doing differently? It's really good. Women prep. I'm hoping women prep when they're thinking about doing something to themselves, and I hope you are. You need to prep a little bit. Men don't have to prep as much as us. So making it nice, having maybe a nice bath, putting some candles around. You know, we don't want it to be a quick job. We want to be able to sit in that place of passion and excitement, and where will this go? And orgasms are different every single time. The emotional side of us kicks in as well. So we want that to be there. How do we feel about ourselves? How has sex been displayed to us from family of origin? How was that shown? Do you feel guilty when you're pleasuring yourself? Do you not do it at all because actually you think there's this block that you've had from the past? That might not be from family of origin. It might be relationships as well. So we need to factor in a lot of things when we're talking about why we're not looking after ourselves. So belief systems, what do you believe? I've got quite a few clients who have come from religious backgrounds, also being told that they were responsible for not getting into trouble, and it was their responsibility to look after themselves. So that's a big burden for a very young person. And then we're looking at societal, we're looking at social media. As females, how are we supposed to be? There's a culture of, and especially young women, thinking they've got to be a certain way and do a certain thing. And a lot of young women are actually not doing the sex that they want. They're doing the sex that they're being asked for. So they're not even looking after themselves individually or together with someone else. So we have male and female constructions Is that the right word? That stop us from doing what we want. Okay, men have as well, but what is it that we're talking about here is how can we revitalize that part of us? And for me, it definitely starts with confidence. Now, I'm a CBT practitioner, so when we talk about confidence, we're talking about what is it that you're fearful of? What is it that you're stopping yourself from doing? And the one thing we do is viva exposure, which is actually doing the thing that you're frightened to do. But we do it in very small stages. So something that you wouldn't really normally do, you think to yourself, right, okay, how can I construct that in a setting that is taking place for me in the bedroom or the bathroom or in a bath? And how can I do a little bit of it so I'm not overwhelmed, but just enough so that I'm actually getting out of that comfort zone? Because when we think about things sexually, if we continue to stay in our comfort zone all the time, we never have novelty. We never have difference. We never explore different ways of being. This is one of the reasons why Fee and I sell toys, because I do believe that every woman on the planet should have a toy, and we can sell them cheaper, and it gives you the opportunity to experience that. So not only can you buy one, but you can actually go, actually, I'm going to try two because I want to try different sensations, a different buzz, and really explore who you are as a female. Okay. So my question to you tonight, and we're not going to actually do this, I want you to think about it, and I want to start journalizing. When I did my course in London, the psychosexual course, the first question for the first 9 months was, what does sex mean to me? And I never really thought about it, what it meant to me. I thought to myself, right, sex was duty. I got married at 17 for 34 years. So it was, the words then back in the day was conjugal rights. So it was a have to. So I never really thought about it. Then the other part of me was thinking about, what does sex mean to me? And sometimes it's been a goodbye. I've had sex to say goodbye. So the uses of sex comes into play when we're thinking about, what does sex mean to me? And I want you to really think about that, because when I was asked that question in London, all of a sudden with this group, this cohort of people, I was thinking, what does it mean to me? What am I talking about? What am I actually thinking about? Was it something that was a duty? Was it something that I felt that I had to do? Did I ever think about myself as an individual sexually? Absolutely not. That course was life-changing for me. It gave me an opportunity to look at my sexuality and my orientation, and it gave me a chance to really dig deep, because one of the reasons I love that course is because knowing yourself more gives you the opportunity to help others. If you're a therapist on here, you'll know what I mean by that. If you're somebody that's come onto this Zoom to think about it for yourself, absolutely. This is such a vital question. What does it mean to you? Are you doing things that you don't really want to do? Are you doing things that actually you don't feel you're consenting to sometimes? Are you doing things to yourself that you think you could do better and more of? So when we think about that, okay, we're talking about our sex drive, and we need to make sure that we realize that every level of sex drive is okay. When couples come to me, they talk about low and high. Okay, we're not doing anything with you've got to be lower and you've got to be higher. What your sex drive is your sex drive, and it's how you navigate that, what it looks like for you. So somebody might masturbate twice a day, somebody might masturbate twice a month. It doesn't really matter. The whole point for me is actually putting yourself in a position where you're actually looking after your pleasure. And we do have a universal standard where it is seen as if you're not being sexual or masturbating or doing something, that there's something wrong with you. And I want everybody to stop saying you're not normal. Okay, this is the outside judgment that we're having, and our sex life is very, very unique to us. So when we're talking about pleasuring ourselves as females, I want you to think about whether we know when we're aroused or not. Okay, so subjective means I feel. Okay, responsive is I don't really feel it, but actually if I start doing something, I might actually start feeling that there's a sexual pathway for me. So sometimes women don't, they're subjective, they don't feel it, but actually something's going on. And because of the trip to Marks and Spencer's today, and having a lovely shower, I'm actually setting the scene to going forward. Whether I do anything or not is up to me, but the thought of actually talking about this, and I want you guys and girls to really talk about all of this with your girlfriends, chat to them, okay? Talk to them. You don't have to go into detail, okay? You know, we've got a social life, we've got a private life, and then we've got a secret life, and that's fine. But actually talking about anything to do with sexual. So I've just started a course, or ended a course, and we did erotic scripts, which was absolutely beautiful. And it was interesting how the imagination took the story on. And it gave the participants the opportunity to actually think about what they would like for themselves. Okay, it included other people, but it was where they wanted to be, what they wanted from those other people. And the scripts were, you know, we didn't read the scripts, but the scripts, you could tell, were quite hot. They was like, whoa, that was fantastic. So that's something I want you to really think about. Write a script for yourself. So when we talk about responsive sexually, this is why I always talk about Tantra in my practice, because I'm a non-touch practitioner, okay? And Tantra is really sensual. So when we talk to our clients and we start to get them to think about how they are sexually as an individual, we can then bring Tantra in, and Tantra is really lovely. So I've got a few things here. So feathers, and this is all to do just for yourself. So getting a feather or 2 feathers. Okay, and you might think to yourself, what would that do? But it does. It's such a sensual process going all over your body, and just allowing that to happen through your hair and right the way down. Just take some time for yourself to pleasure yourself. The other one I like is I can't see it at the moment, is a clean makeup brush, a makeup brush that you only use. So actually dusting yourself with this makeup brush, a large one, it feels absolutely gorgeous. The other one I really like, which is a bit unusual, is in your drawer, in your kitchen, is actually the fork. Okay, because if you do that in the center of your arm there, and you bring it right the way down very gently, and your inner thighs, it feels absolutely incredible. So Tantra for me is just an opportunity to increase that pleasure, to increase that sensitivity. Thinking about your body and lying there and actually getting your 2 fingers like this and really drawing. You're not going to be able to draw around your body, but you want to think about all the curves, all the lines, all the scars, all the things that you are, that you make up, and just really envelop that self, to really increase that pleasure for yourselves. So how do we feel about interpreting what we want now to the script we had back in the past? Now, we need to work on some of the past stuff, because it blocks us from being able to look after ourselves and to pleasure ourselves and feel okay about it. So when we talk, and I'm not always saying about family of origin, it can be relationships as well. We can have criticism, we can have stonewalling, people not, partners not talking to us. There's things maybe in our makeup through the past that have stopped us being who we want to be sexually. And for me, that's really important, to actually break free from those restraints of what people thought you should be like. Who do you want to recreate? What script would you like to write now? If I actually got you to write down, what would you like to do for you? What would it say? We are very, very connected to other people when we talk about what does sex mean to me. I went straight to my ex-partner, thinking that's what I need. It's about me. It's about you. What would the script look like now? So, when was the last time you took yourself on a date? Wearing beautiful underwear, bothering and making a fuss of yourself, bathing and caring for you in a process that's passionate for your body to create all of that for yourselves. Think about ice baths. That's my favorite thing, because you can feel all of your body. Think about lotion. The other day, I remember thinking to myself and talking to a client, we moisturize our face every day. We never moisturize our vulva. I'd love to know somebody that does, because it's still skin. Why aren't we looking after that part of ourselves? Buy toys for yourself. Make sure you think about how you're going to pleasure yourself. And start to believe in yourself. Masturbation is really good for us. We need to actually involve ourselves and behave towards it more and more and more. So when we talk about the chemicals, okay, we talk about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. These are what are made up for us to have a sexual desire. As they deplete, we need to think about our subjective process. We also need to think about our responsive process and how we would develop that. So I like the thought of love languages. What is your love language? Is it acts of service that you could do for yourself? Is it quality time that you could give to yourself? Is it gifts? What would you gift yourself? So all of the love languages can come into this process when you're thinking about how to look after yourself. Writing a sexual script for yourself, allowing that to free flow in the way that you want to. So I want you to think about, I don't know whether any of you here journalize. I journalize all the time. I think it's really important. Journalize after this. What are you thinking about yourself? What are you now thinking, right, okay, am I looking after myself enough? So I want you to think about your sexual journey as a timeline, your sexual script that you had, and your future script and journey that you're going to continue to do. Plan it out, make some change. So we're going to do a little exercise now. You can join in or not, but I'm still going to do it. I want you to really involve yourself in the words that we can use in body parts. Okay, so Emily Nagoski, she writes a lovely book. I've got it here somewhere. I will show you when I find it. There it is. Is it? Yeah, Come As You Are. And she's got another book, which I can't remember the name, but look her up, Emily. She's great. And she's a sex educator. Okay, she's like more science-based, lots of statistics and things. But she talks about vagina and vulva, clitoris, skin, and touch. And I think we need to get used to the words of a female, because we are so caught up sometimes in maybe the guilt or the shame that we've encountered, that we end up not looking after ourselves. So I'm just going to go through this very slowly, and you can do this with your clients if you want, but as individuals, you can actually think about how you could do this for yourself. So what we would say, first of all, in a very whispery voice, and maybe a whispery, sexy voice, okay, is vagina, vulva, clitoris, skin, tongue. Then the next time we do it, we would be in a more hello way. So vagina, vulva, clitoris, skin, tongue. The third way we do it with more excitement, more passion. So vagina, vulva, clitoris, skin, touch. The reason why I'm doing that is because the vocabulary of sex is so hidden. It feels like it's over-sexualized, but when we're talking about ourselves or in a relationship or friendships that we have, we're not talking about it enough. We need to embellish all these words so that we start getting comfortable with it. Like I've said to you about the Viva exposure for CBT, we need to take ourselves out of the comfort zone and give us a possibility of thinking differently. So going back to Tantra, I know I'm sort of going from one thing to another, but when we go back to Tantra, I want you to actually look up your erotic blueprints. Now, I really like these because it gives a new dimension to how we're feeling about ourselves sexually. And also it demonstrates actually which one we are. And also I love it because there's a shadow side to it as well. So it gets us to really look at the part of us that may be too much for ourselves, not enough for ourselves. So I haven't got them all written down because I want you to actually do this as homework. I always give everybody homework. So we've got a shapeshifter, somebody that would morph into anything that anybody is. Okay, so if you were a sensual person, that shapeshifter would become a sensual person. If you were a kink person, they would become a kink person. The shadow side of a shapeshifter is that they will sometimes be overwhelming. They will be everything you are. They will be with you with everything you're doing. So they're sort of like a part that can be quite overwhelming. The other one can be sensual. Okay, I'm not going to go into all the shadow sides. Then there's sexual, and there's two others. So I want you to look this up. So there's Love, Sex and Goop by Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's really worth watching, okay, because there's some tantra stuff on there as well. And the erotic blueprint is another way of working with your clients, and also for when you see them individually, you can actually work individually on what they might be. Okay, so when we're talking about females, whatever that is for the female, we need to make sure, actually, are you being able to give yourself that sensual part of it? Are you able to be sexual with yourself? So it's quite interesting to find out which blueprint you are. The other part of Tantra is energy. That's the most important thing for me when we're talking about Tantra, and I include it in my work. And I'm very aware of the controversy behind this, but I always point out that I'm a non-touch practitioner, and I am. But including, if you ever get a chance to, as an individual or as a therapist, to go on some Tantra courses, I would very much recommend, because it just gives you another element of, for me, my sex life has completely changed. It's giving me a purpose of energy instead of sex. Sex is included, but the energy that you hold is so powerful that you allow it to go all the way through your body without orgasm. Sex isn't included, and then sex is included. It's just such an amazing erotic process to go through. And if you have the opportunity to do that as an individual, there's lots of stuff in Brighton and London and different places, then please take advantage of that, because it would be a real good opportunity to learn how to look at sex differently. Hold the energy. The more you hold the energy, the more the orgasm will come forward with such power and vigor. It's just a different way of being. So what I want us to do now is meet our genitalia. Okay, so this might seem a bit weird, and I don't really get individuals to look at their genitalia through a mirror. I think we have a lot of women who couldn't think of anything worse looking down at their genitalia. So I introduced them to it, as in the room, and saying to them, right, okay, I want to introduce you. I'm not showing them their, and I'm not looking at it either. I'm saying to them, let's say hello to your clitoris. So I've got toys here that I use. So I've got Sophia, who's a vagina, and I've got Colin, who's a cock. And I show them on the models, because it's really important to know your anatomy. One reason is because of health reasons. But the other reason is to really be mindful of where your sensitive areas are, where you can get the pleasure from when you're playing with yourself, whether that's a toy or fingers. So the clitoris is 4.5 inches long. So if you look on the internet, you can actually see how similar it is to the penis, and it actually goes right the way down the groin area. Okay, so all we see is the hood and the nub, and it's only there for pleasure. So when we're playing with ourselves, we always sort of do the toys and we go straight to that part of us. Or if we orgasm vaginally, then we would go to that part. I want us to really sort of like make sure that we're going right the way around the areas. Okay, just before the anus. Okay, just making sure that we're actually touching all those areas, because the longer that plateau stage can last, the more likelihood that you're going to have a more explosive orgasm. Not necessarily, but we are hopeful that that will happen. So it's taking that time, setting up the room, making it nice for you, having a shower, and believing that you can revitalize if your libido feels like it's just flatlined. There'll be a reason for that. Have you got stress in your life? Is your lifestyle changing? Are you separating? Is your job really stressful? Have you got children? Have you got a family dynamic that's going on? Or what is the dynamic that's happening to you? Because the evolutionary part of our body is separate to actually the part of us that is trying to differentiate. Differentiation is you are an I first before you're a we. And I'm an advocate of going, what is it you want as an I? What's your dreams and aspirations? What's your adventures and excitement? Are you looking after yourself sexually as well as all the other adventures that you want to do? Because we are, again, talking about health here. I see a lot of women who are coming into my therapy room. They don't want to have sex at all anymore. They are shutting down on it. They are in relationships, but they don't want to do it anymore. And we've explored all the belief systems. They just don't want their bodies to go through it anymore. But what I want them to do is still look after themselves. You don't have to give yourself to somebody else because that's consent. But I want you to look after yourselves. It is so, so important. I can't say it enough. The other thing I think is really interesting, and I unfortunately didn't meet him, but Jamie McCarthy, he was the guy who actually did all the plaster casts of all the vulvas. Okay, when you go to psychosexual school, you're not allowed to call it a vagina. And it would be really good for you to look at them, okay, because they are just absolutely fascinating. They're all very different. Some are pierced, some are, the labias are different, so that the lips are very different from each other. Sometimes the clitoris is not seen at all, and sometimes it's really there. So it's really important that we start thinking about, actually, we are all so different, we are unique. So when you do get to know yours, you need to think about, okay, this is mine. I own this. This is mine, and I'm going to fall in love with it. So going back to actually getting to know your genital area, it is the clitoris, but there's a hood over it, and the hood protects it. As you become more aroused, so we talk about women getting wet and men getting hard, okay? We get hard and wet. All of our arousal system is filling with blood to make our process hard. Otherwise, this wouldn't work, okay? So we are both. And the labias are the lips. Now, everybody's lips are completely different, okay? Some will be more hanging down, some will be really neat. It doesn't matter what it is. Fall in love with it. Start to look at it and play with it, but introduce yourself, because it can be quite daunting if you've never looked. Some people have never looked. So, and the vagina has 2.5 inches in the very beginning of the start of it. That's the only thing that has nerve endings. So sometimes when we're playing with ourselves, first of all, we're not aroused enough. We're not doing that erotic part to arouse us. So when we use anything that goes inside of us, there can be a little tiny bit of pain, because it's almost like it has to go like that. And what we're looking for is more arousal, more foreplay for ourselves. So again, the thought process, first of all, reading something, thinking something, being something, nice clothes, whatever it might be, give yourself that opportunity to get aroused so that there's no pain. Once we get a pathway of pain, we start to actually think that that's all we'll ever get. So we go back to, like, oh, I won't do that because it's painful. You enjoy it. Let's get rid of the pain. So on the secretions of the lubrication of the vagina, it's called the Bartholin gland. So either side of the vagina, where the nerve endings are, is where it lubricates from both sides. Okay, if that would be really weird if it was one side and the other felt really dry. It's on both sides that happens. So working with people, for yourselves individually, get to know your body, understand your body. Make sure that if you're looking at your body and the first thing you will do would go, I don't like that bit, cancel, cancel, cancel. Start looking at the stuff that you do like and working on the stuff that you don't. Give yourself the opportunity to love yourself. And I've heard that for years. All you got to do is love yourself. We've got to find a process of how to do that. We can say it, but how do we do that? Getting in the bath and having a wonderful warm bath. And then as you lay down, you've got these little indentations here, and putting ice cubes right along the top and allowing them, because the water will make them melt, and they go past your nipples and down to your navel. It's just so wonderful to be able to do that for you, but you need the time and space to do it. No interruptions, giving yourself, everyone out of the house, maybe booking in a hotel. Make this something that you're going to continue to do for yourselves. I'm just going to look at the questions. Let me have a look. Right. Yeah. So if you show your faces, they will be seen by other people on the replay. Okay. So anonymous is what we promote as well. We're happy for you to not be seen. Obviously, some people have got names. We don't know who you are, but it goes back on the Facebook page and it will be there for a week. So let's see where I am. So I want us to look at, so I think I've sort of talked about how to revitalize our sex life is actually thinking about ourselves. It's as simple as that, and how we go about thinking about ourselves and what we can do to enhance that libido for ourselves. But also I want you to think about what blocks you from doing that. Busy life. Am I worthy? Why should I bother? I'm not thinking sexy, so why should I bother to be sexy? Okay. Confidence is sexy. People notice that. Absolutely. When we think about desire, we have a loop. So if we start to think about our sexual part of us, desire, we then get aroused, and then we have desire, and then we get aroused, and then we have desire, and then we get aroused. It's a loop. Okay, so think about that, because a desire is something you're thinking about. Arousal is something your body's doing. So if you continue to do the desire, your body will catch up with it eventually, and then it's just a cyclical process that actually will get you in the mood for that. Don't be disappointed if we don't always orgasm. Some people don't orgasm at all. Okay, anorgasmic. So that can be quite upsetting. However, through psychosexual therapy, we can help people produce something as an orgasm. Okay, what I mean by that is tremors and blocks to stopping them fulfilling that process. However, some people don't orgasm. If you do orgasm, then hold it. Do so much and then hold it, and then try again another day, because what we're trying to do is hold that tension for ourselves. Also, think about the ambivalence that you might be having for yourself. Okay, ambivalence is when we sort of have an indecision about whether we want to do something for ourselves. And as soon as that indecision comes, your arousal circuit will start to flatline, because there's nothing to look forward to. You're not talking about excitement. You're not talking about joy. You're not talking about pleasure. The ambivalence is, I'm just going to stay where I am. Why do I bother? Do I need it? Is it something that I feel like I need in my life? And a lot of people don't want to do it, and that's absolutely fine. It's all consensual. But for me, I go back to the health stuff as well. How are we doing? Okay, I've sort of done 40 minutes. I feel like I'm nearly there. Is there any questions from anybody that would like to ask? Let me see. Does it show your name when you ask me a question? That's a very good point, actually. Yes, it does. So maybe you don't want to ask me a question. So what I want you to think about is, what does sex mean to you? Okay. Really invest in that. I want you to journalize that. And then I want you to think about the psychological, the physiological, and the stimulation you need to get to where you want to get to. So if we're doing something on our own, am I touching myself enough, and am I thinking in a sexy way? Because once you come out of that, you've lost it. Okay, the arousal will go back down again. This video tonight is part of the workshop that I want to do in Sculptures on the Lake. And I want us to get together as a collective, and we're inviting everyone. Okay, nobody's going to be left out. And this will be on the 16th of August. And what I want us to do, so practitioners, individuals, couples, I want us to start talking about sex. I want us to have some really deep conversations about what it means to us, and invite people to come and talk about what that is for them. So if you're interested in that, Fee will be putting that out on the Facebook page very shortly. It's on the 16th of August. We will let you know the cost and everything. And there is a discount for people who are already what we call known to us, because I think it's quite important that people who are investing in what we're doing get some discount as well. I think I've said everything I've got to say. I can't think of anything else I need to say. If you could think one thing. Let me read this. Oh, if you could think of one statement that feels very powerful that I could perhaps share with a client, what would this be? Oh, that's a really good question. The first thing that always comes to mind is Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech when he came out of prison is, "Who are we not to shine?" And that has stayed with me forever. And that was like 20 years ago. The statement I would say, and if you're talking about an individual, is actually working out what that individual wants. I'm trying to think of a statement. What would I say? I'd probably say something like, and I'm not sure it would be a statement, but actually, you're important and your sex life is something you were born sexual. So it's a rite of passage. And if you choose not to do anything with it, that's a choice. But if you choose to actually partake or pleasure yourself or another, then it's part of life's journey. That's how important I think it is. I think it's a rite of passage that we all have an opportunity to be sexual, and experience that very much so. Does that help? Is that what you were looking for, sort of statement? I'd be interested to know. Let's read that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want us to always sit in a place of authenticity. It's one of the things that two things in my life that are really important is authenticity, being me, and also emotional regulation. To not be defensive, to not sit in a place of anxiety, to always be able to be the best version of me. And it's a lifetime journey for sure. So when we're talking about sex, we're talking about authenticity. What is it that your body's telling you? So as an individual, is it something that you want to do? And when you do the pleasure, you actually enjoy it, but then you leave it again for a long, long time. If you're loving the journey and you're loving the sensations and the process that it brings you, ask yourself the question why you're not doing it again on a regular basis. If you're in a relationship, what are you doing sexually with this partner? Okay, think of the uses of sex. Why am I having sex with you? It's a really important question. Is it because I feel like I have to? Is your body consenting because it's very good at survival, but our brain is going, I don't really want to do this at the moment, but actually I'll rock the boat and I don't want to say anything. Yeah, so there's lots of reasons and different reasons why we use sex. Pleasuring ourselves as women is just needs to be number one. Because if you think about all the things that we do outside of ourselves, and the word sacrifice comes in a lot into my therapy, I've sacrificed myself doing this, doing that, playing this, playing that, whatever it might be. My question, my answer to that is actually nobody asked you to. So where has that come from? And why aren't you making any time for yourself? It's a really poignant question. So if you are seeing couples or individuals or yourself, ask yourself the question, what does sex mean to me? And take time to really think about it. Don't let it just be a version. It was mind-blowing for me on that course because I'd never even thought that there was a question like that. It was like, I exist. I have my own personal unique journey with orientation, preference, all of it. It's my journey. What do I want it to look like? What script am I going to write for myself? And I think that's so, so important. So I want to thank you all. I'm not going to continue for the last 15 minutes unless somebody's got a question. I know we usually do an hour, but it feels like I've sort of summed up a little bit here. But if there are any questions, then get my number, email me. I'm always open to talking to new people. I'm mad about networking and meeting new people. So get in touch with me. We do the drop-in supervisions, and hopefully we'll see some of you at Sculptures on the Lake in Dorset, in Dorchester. It's a stunning location, and we could have some real fun there with all of you coming. So I look forward to the next live at the end of the month in July, and have a lovely, lovely evening, everybody. And for goodness sake, when you leave here, be really nice to yourself. Get a feather, get a fork, do what you need to do. I'll speak to you all soon. Love that heart. Thank you.